do like a full on, like, if you have enough material to probably do like a nice, like hour-long, like, documentary.
Probably,
The
actually.
wines of France, yeah.
Yeah.
The wines of France and Spain. Probably has enough material to put together like
Why don't we get one of those? That's
Depending on the number of cases you sell per year.
what's the number?
10 million first. 10 million.
No. What is your measure?
Sell a lot, high volume.
I was gonna say.
No, but it's you don't do the big market price, but it's not the biggest one.
I hear there's somewhere in the little closer to home. Yes.
Sweden is our market number one for Clermont, which is insane because 9 million people living there, and Sweden. And the total consumption of Clermont de Bourgogne in Sweden for 9 million people, 9 million people, it's 1.5 million bottles.
Really?
Yeah, but it's per capita it's the market number 2. Market number 1 is Norway per capita. 5 million big people, 2 million bottles of Clermont de Bourgogne only. So
That's
if you
amazing.
remove children's people who don't drink alcohol for different reasons, that's quite a few people per capita. Yeah.
We need to step up our numbers.
So we don't have the same ratio in the US, but we won't have enough grapes to do so. So it's no problem. We don't have time to go in the vineyard, but of course everything starts in the vineyard. At Buillot, we are the owner of 400 acres of vineyard, spread around the region between Chablis and Châtillon-sur-Seine in the north, down to the Côte Chalonnaise, 50 kilometers south of here. So 150 kilometers from north to south. It gives us access to different grape varietals, but also to different profiles. Because a Chardonnay from Chablis will taste different than a Chardonnay from the Côte Chalonnaise, as you know. And it's also important for us, in terms of Clermont de Bourgogne, to have that diversity in terms of sourcing, because we'll obtain very different base wines depending on the origin. So this place is where we receive the grapes during harvest and where we process them. So you have to imagine it during harvest completely empty. We use it as a storage room during the rest of the year, but during harvest there are only these gray cases going in and out from the vineyard. So when the grapes are coming here, we are separating them depending on the varietal and depending on their origin. We use mainly 4 varietals, Pinot Noir and Gamay for the red, Chardonnay and Aligoté for the white. So depending on the grapes, we'll separate them. Then we'll not blend at this stage anything. So Chardonnay from here will be pressed with some other Chardonnay from the same area. Chardonnay from the north of the Burgundy, from Chablis for instance, will be pressed with other Chardonnay from Chablis, and so on. The idea is to have as many quality as possible after the harvest to play with when we do the blending. That's for the grapes. Then, as you can see, here are the presses. So there are 3 pneumatic presses, same press. So we load the press by gravity. So just with a forklift, dumping the grape into the press. And as you can see behind the press, there are 3 different compartments for 3 different quality of juice. When we will load the press, the first one, the one on the left, will be open. That's the free run juice. The juice which is the less qualitative. No juice with could have some dilution if it's a little bit wet outside. You can have a bit of earth, you can have some pesticides and so on. This juice, we will vinify it separately, and depending on the quality, either it goes to the distillery, either we blend it with the rest, but with in very little proportion because it's really the low quality juice.
So first run is something that's low quality?
It's not press. It's just when we are loading the free run juice we get when we are loading the press. Then we will start to press and we will obtain what we call la cuvée. So it's the one which is on the right. So we close the one on the left, open the one on the right. La cuvée represents roughly 70% of the press. It's the best quality juice, the one with the better balance between acidity, between the fruit, the freshness, and so on. This juice, we will prefer to have it on the vintage cuvée single vineyard selection because of the higher acidity, it allows the wine to age longer. Then, after this first press, we'll close the tap on the right and we'll open the one in the middle. We'll do a second press. We'll press a little bit more. We'll get closer to the seeds, get closer to the skin. So we will have wines with much more structure, less acidity, less fruit, more structure, sometimes even tannins when we are talking about red wines, Pinot Noir or Gamay. And these two juices, they will be vinified separately. The first press for longer aging and the end of the press will be more for cuvée that we've tasted for lunch, for instance, Perle de Vigne or Perle d'Aurore, because it ages shorter, I would say. So between the different grape varietal, the different origins, and these two quality of juice, we have more than 120 different qualities of base wine after harvest to play with for the blend. The idea on the non-vintage cuvée is to have always constancy in terms of style, because when people like a cuvée of sparkling, it's very true, it's much more true for sparkling than for still wines, but usually they're always drinking the same thing. Same with champagne. There are people who are drinking only Clicquot, only Mouette, only Paul Roger, and so on. So for us, it's important also at Buillot, when people are used to drink the taste of Perle de Vigne or the taste of Perle d'Aurore, that they find the same quality from one year to another. That's why we do use a little bit of reserve wines as well from the previous vintage to balance the style of the cuvée. So let's have a look in the winery now. Be careful, there are some hoses, it could be a bit wet, so it could be a little bit slippery.
How many tanks do you have?
More than 150, because some of them are at different compartments. Here, for instance, on this one, there are 3 different compartments of different size. So in total, it's more than 100 different compartments. It would be much easier to have one big tank, put everything in the same tank.
Yeah.
But you won't have the diversity of cuvée we have today, and it will be less fun. Yeah, obviously, also to make just one quality.
So you said that these larger tanks can have 3 compartments within them that are different?
There are different sizes of tanks. These are some small ones for our small cuvée. So these ones are 8,000 liters at the bottom and 2 times 3,000 at the top.
Okay.
So different compartments. All our tanks are under temperature control because we want to have the control on the temperature during the fermentation, which is really key for the alcoholic fermentation. We usually make our alcoholic fermentation between 14 and 16 degrees Celsius because at that temperature the yeast have difficulties to evaluate in a way, so it gives much more complexity and finesse to the wine. So I was talking about harvest, so at the end of the harvest, as I was saying, we have more than 120 different base wines to play with for blending. Once the alcoholic fermentation is done with the winemaking team, so with Frédéric that you met today and the rest of the team, we are meeting and we are tasting every single tank. It takes about a week to go through everything, and we start to give at this stage to give the first orientation to the different tanks. So this cuvée of Chardonnay has good acidity, a lot of freshness, either a vintage, either a reserve wines for the following year. This other Chardonnay, which is a bit richer, a bit more mature, needs to be drunk on the youthness, so more on the Perle de Vigne or Perle d'Or, and so on. So we do that kind of job for every single tank. And beginning of November we meet again, and depending on the need in terms of bottling, we will taste again what have been pre-selected for each different cuvée. So if we need to bottle first Blanc de Blanc, for instance, we will taste the different tanks of Blanc de Blanc that we've pre-selected, and we will finalize the blend. So we do have tastings every 2 weeks basically, either with blends, either with different dosage, because for each disgorgement we can adjust the dosage. So it's quite a lot of work to be done on the tasting side. So we have in the process, we are now after the blending. So I will show you the bottling line for the bottling.
Good.
That was so awesome.
We needed something that,
And this is where they say Americans. Brian caught me.
Close the doors.
close the door. Ever gone forever. Watch out, the door's been open. I don't know, they're only
Feels like a Squid Game episode. Squid Game.
I will ask you to go quickly below this one because it's a little bit up and down. So, and I will just ask you to stay within the yellow part. It is on the left. Please.
Left or right?
Left.
Left.
Other left.
There it goes.
Oh shoot.
This
Now we're
one.
stuck. Which way left? You might die.
Yeah, you might die. He's- The other left. Stay in the yellow.
Stay on the yellow.
Stay in yellow.
On the yellow.
I'm so yellow.
Oh, you're cutting. He cutted it. He cutted it.
Oh no, he's videoing. He can do whatever he wants. Go, 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 go.
Just put yourself in danger.
I did it for the team.
As he comes from behind. Oh, there he is. Go, go, go.
Oh, God. like a buy-in week.
Can you share it? Thank you. I want to see your song. What is that song?
So we are done with the blending, as I was saying in the cellar. So the next step is the bottling. So at this stage, it's still wine. So in this still wine, we have some yeast and sugar for the second fermentation. And as you can see, we close the bottle with the corn cap, not with the wet water, not at this stage. So we put what we call a bidule, which is for the sealing, better sealing, and then the corn cap on top of it. Bottling is done, then the bottles will go into the wooden cases for the aging in the cellar next door for at least 12 months. So bottling is two steps, and then you put the aging. Just one word, this is for you. This pack for Christmas, so we are packing everything as we speak, and first order should leave within 2 weeks to the US. For you to have them on time for the end of the year. So same as last year, you've seen them already for the white and the blue.
How many bottles of like a minute? Is it a minute?
6,000 per hour.
6,000 per hour?
Per hour, yes. If everything goes well. Which is, it does happen sometimes, but normal, but yeah. Let's say the average would be 5,000. With the stop and goes and so on.
I'll see you for Christmas.
Somebody coming from
Turn around.
I will just ask you to make some room for the forklift. You go this.
hard because it gives you the 1, 2, 3.
No, it takes it.
Yeah, I know, but
It takes it.
no, I know, but it's hard because
How many bottles do you store on site?
We have 2 warehouses like this one, and we have between 8 and 10 million bottles aging as we speak. 8 to 10 million bottles aging, yeah. So that's where the magic happens, basically. So the wines have been bottled, and then they will stay in this cellar and next door during minimum 12 months. 12 months is the minimum requirement when we are talking about Crémant de Bourgogne. For Saint-Reine, you know, which is the other method traditional we are making, which is not a Crémant, it's a non-appellation method traditional, it's 9 months. For Crémant, the minimum requirement according to the law is 12 months. We do minimum 15 at Buillot in order to get a little bit of extra time on the lees, a bit more complexity and finesse. So AC here to control the temperature, no natural light, so no UVs to not damage the wine, because the UVs, as you know, they have an impact on the aging of the wine. And this is what is happening in the bottle. So I don't know if we can see it properly, but once the fermentation is done, you can see some of the lees here. So the dead yeast are going. Yeah, maybe it would be better with the light. You should try. Yeah. I don't know if it's. If you can see it better. It's not that easy. Yeah. Well. And these lees, of course, we don't want to have them in our glass. So the next step would be to disgorge the bottle. So to do from the top, it's better.
Yep. Thank you, Bob.
So we will progressively bring the bottle from this horizontal position down to vertical position, upside down. So the lees, I make it very quick, but you see the lees going into the bottleneck.
Can we get a slow-mo on that, guys?
So it takes about a week to do this process, to do the riddling. The riddling, we want it to be we want to make it very progressive, you know. So it's 24 different phases, stages in a way, before being like this, or upside down, I would say. You can make it quicker once again, but you won't have the same brilliance into the wine, so we prefer to take the time to make it properly. And then once the lees are in the bottleneck, we need to get rid of them. That's what we'll see next door. We'll freeze the bottleneck before the disgorgement. As you can see on every single box, we have some barcodes, codes for the traceability. So if one day you have someone complaining about one bottle for different reason, you have the lot number on every single bottle, and we have the full traceability. A very efficient traceability quality system, and we can come back to the wine growler and to the vineyard. So, and we will turn right in the middle. So with this machine we will do some transfer, because to riddle the bottle they need to be all in the same position into the pallet. So we store them like this in order to maximize the place, to save as much space as possible, and we will put them into that direction, all in the same direction, like in this box, in order to make the riddling. We do roughly 75,000 cases with Total Wine and More, which is about 15% of the production
A year.
a year. Yeah,
15%.
15, yes, of the total production, roughly. Go to Total Wine and More.
What are the other countries that you do a lot with?
So our top 5 markets, number 1 is Sweden, number 2 is Canada, number 3 is the US, number 4 is Norway, and number 5 is UK.
Thank you.
So here is the room where we do the rigging. So we don't do it by hand anymore, as you can imagine. With a few million bottles produced per year, we will need quite a few people to do so. So we do the riggers by rigging by machine. So it takes about 1 week. We can riddle 100 pallets at the same time during a week, 100 pallets per week. So it takes about 1 week with 24 different positions before going to the upside down position. And if you look at on the, here we have some white beer bottle with the roses, so you can really see the, if you come here, well, you can really see the dead yeast in the bottleneck, this kind of pinkish sediment. So it's not that much, but nevertheless we need to get rid of it. So yeah, on the very bottom. On the very bottom you can really see the dead yeast. This is this dark pink part. Just for the reading. Any questions at this stage?
I was wondering how So bottles are coming on the line, still in the same pallets upside down. So we put them on the line upside down. And here, in this machine, we do have a liquid at minus 26 degrees, which will freeze just the bottleneck. So if you can see in this bottle, if I return it, Oh wow.
you will see here the ice cube with the sediment, so we can't see the sediment, but the dead yeast inside this inside this ice cube. So then we will just return the bottle, and with this machine will open every single bottle. So it's like a big beer opener, you know.
just removing the cone cap, and the pressure inside the bottle will push the ice cube outside, and then we are just topping the bottle with a mix between sugar and wine in order to adjust what we call the dosage, the liquor dosage. So that's at this stage that we decide if it's a brut, an extra dry, a dry, depending on the level of sweetness we want in the wine. And then once the wines are disgorged, we keep them, we store them between a month and a half and 2 months before labeling them and send them to our customers in order to have a good integration of the liqueur de dosage together with the wine.
We didn't need to see it pop.
No, unfortunately they are done for today. Maybe we can, pour faire à la main? We can make one by hand.
Okay.
Oh.
Do that. Wait.
You see, it's very, very quick, huh? And you lose, at the end, you have the dead yeast that are in the bidule, and the wine which is perfectly clear.
Merci. That was so cool. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the machine does make it quicker, but
It's on a little counter.
So we are done for this quick tour. I'm sorry we made it quick, but I don't want to be blamed by Pierre-Antoine because we are late. So let's go back to the...
He did not.